Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is Celestial Seasonings Sleepy Time Sinus Soother, which is not my favorite, but it's something I could use right now. And this is one of my newer mugs. I've shown it already, I think, on this on one of my videos. But anyway, I decided to use a newer mug because I'm doing a haul, and it just made sense to do so. I have not done a haul on this channel since April, I think. And so it's time. That was sort of a spring haul. I'm calling this a summer haul, although it does incorporate a little spring. I don't think there's going to be any doubles here as far as an overlap, but you may see a few books that I've shown already because I read them already. But I thought it'd be a little thorough. I'm not sure if I'll remember everywhere I've gotten everything from, but we'll see. We will go through this adventure together and see if there are things that I don't remember. So there's quite a few books. I divided it in some form of order, but I don't know where to begin. So I'll just begin with two mystery novels. They won't be the only ones, but I put certain things in certain categories. One of these I've actually read, but I found it in Bookoff for $1, and it's the first of a series that I really like. It's not my favorite of the series, but I did like it, so I thought I wouldn't mind rereading it, or at least looking through it again. So I picked it up at Bookoff, and this is Full Dark House by Christopher Fowler. This is the first of the Peculiar Crimes Unit mysteries that Bryant and May, they're the partners that are together throughout the series. And the supposedly last of the series already came out last year, which was very sad for me and probably for a lot of readers. But I'm glad we have this, to go back to. Anyway, it was really pretty interesting. So I'm happy to have it. And this is a series that I read a number of the books when they first came out, and then I just kind of left off, but I've been hearing it mentioned a lot recently, and I thought, might as well, if I see a copy for a decent price, maybe I'll get one. I don't know. And I did. Again, I was at Bookoff probably the same time and found this for $1. And just as an explanation, if you haven't watched, I mentioned Bookoff a lot. It's one of the places I mention that I go to far too often. It is, I guess you would say, it's a chain. And excuse me, it's a Japanese chain, but they have locations everywhere. In fact, at least their social media recently has been saying that there's a new location happening. They're not saying yet where. And people are in the United States, because it's the United States social media, are all like, come to Miami, come to Chicago, come to, I don't know, Tulsa, so we'll find out. But I like it because, yeah, they do have Japanese books, but that's not where I shop because I don't read Japanese. And they have a good manga section, and they have, my sinuses sound like I said banga. Manga. And I think I'm pronouncing that right. Oh, goodness. And they sell other things like CDs, DVDs, records, like vinyl, electronics, toys, stuff. It's fun. But I usually go to the discount book section where you can find books for as cheap as $1, and it goes up in increments, but it's quite reasonable. So this is the Flavia de Luce, or is it de Luce? I gotta find out. Series, and this is very up my alley because of the title, by Alan Bradley. It is Thrice the Brinded Cat Hath Mewed. I will find out how to pronounce that eventually. But it's got a cat, so cats and books, mysteries and tea. You see, cats and mugs, I like things that go together. So those are the so far mystery novels that I have. And let's see. I want to show you novels. First, if I can help it. Let's see. All right, here's a bunch of novels. This one, I believe, because I don't think I scanned it into my website my app where I keep everything, but so there's no markings on it. So I think it's where I believe I got it from was from one of the little free libraries. There's a number of them in my neighborhood, but I think it might have been the one in Astoria Park, which is in Astoria, Queens, New York. And They have one near where people jog, the track, and between the track and where people skateboard. So very much things that I don't do much of except read. And I saw this, and it's a historical fiction book. I don't know if it's what it's based on, but it sounds kind of good. I've been a little more leaning toward reading World War II era historical fiction lately, so who knows? The Scent of Secrets by Jane Tyne or Thine? Tyne? See, I am really not doing well with pronunciation today. Feel free, by the way, if you know the correct pronunciation, to be, pedantic and tell me how to say things in the comments. This is about, I think it has to do with scents as far as perfumes and stuff, but this is this person, Clara, right? I thought I saw something about perfumes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But anyway, maybe I'm just like getting this mixed up with something else. So ignore what I just said. It talks about someone named Clara Vine, and she is asked by a British intelligence officer to get close to Ava Braun and glean as much as she can about the Fuhrer's plans and intentions. So, wow, that's a bit of a spy novel, sort of. Where did I get that idea? I think it's just a title, but it actually shows somebody. Oh, sorry. It actually shows a person's face rather than their back turned to us, so that's kind of different. It might turn out good. I don't know. I don't know how much it's based on real fact. It is. Sorry, I turned the air conditioner off because it's kind of warm in here. But it's getting kind of in here. Sorry if I'm not as, comfortable. I might turn on the AC in the long run. Anyway, so here's another thing that I found, and another place that I like to. I probably have some. I'm not sure. I might have. Yes, I will probably have some things from the Cellar, which is a library bookshop. It's open somewhat limited hours, but it's a decent enough place. It's a basement, obviously, of a library. It's all volunteer run, and it's all donations of books and stuff. And so they can offer their books for a really reasonable price. And I'm saying this because this next book I did not get from there. But when I went with my sister Bonnie back in March, she got a copy of this book, The Betsy Tacy Treasury. And I'll show it to you in a moment. I thought it was pretty cool because I have wanted to start reading the Betsy Tacy books. I have read one book later on, but it's, I'd like to start in order. And it's a nice enough sized book that it's not overwhelming as a collection. But my sister found a really nice copy for a really good price in the Cellar, and I was very happy for her, but I kept thinking, if I find something like that, I will get it. I saw a copy in Bookoff that was not perfect looking. It wasn't horrific, but it was just, it looked like someone had already read it. It was a slightly, you'll see it in a moment, but they were selling it for like $10 or something. And I just said, this isn't right. For such a bad looking copy. Like, it's not horrific, but it doesn't look fresh or pristine. So I waited and waited, taking a chance, because sometimes it will just disappear. But sometimes if you wait long enough, it goes down to $1, and that's what it did. So I got this at Bookoff. See, with the sticker? So you could see how it's slightly worn, excuse me. But it's like the worn where you won't feel worried about plopping it into your bag, and it getting a little bit dog-eared. But you don't want to pay $10 for it. I didn't want to. I'm trying to figure out if there's any writing in it, but I don't think there is. So I'm pretty happy about this, and maybe I will start reading it at some point. And these are 3 other books that I got at Bookoff, and they're all from one of my favorite writers, and that is Mr. Anthony Trollope. And I have Harry Heathcote of Gangoil. Sounds like gargoyle. I might be saying it wrong, but because, all bets are off with my pronunciation today. And the Belton Estate. I like these they're all World's Classics, Oxford World's Classics. Some of them are just say World on the front. I have not read any of these books. And then, of course, the one with the name that sounds familiar, Rachel Ray. So, all great copies, decent condition. I love Trollope. I am very happy to dig into those. So let's see. Should I go straight to nonfiction, or no, I still have some fiction left for you guys. And these I'm going to go through really quickly because you've already seen them on this channel. And I need to pack them away, at least 2 of them. If she wants the 3rd one, she could let me know. These are all books that I got for Jane Austen July. And they're all in very good condition. And I all got 2 of them online and 1 at a bookstore. And one was What Kitty Did Next, which was a sequel to Pride and Prejudice about Kitty Bennet, which I really liked. And then, of course, Godmersham Park by Jill Hornby, which was about a person who worked as a governess, a true story, for Jane Austen's older brother's family, who were quite well off, and mostly about her life, but also her interactions with the family, including Henry and Jane Austen. Really interesting book. Totally recommend that as well. And it's beautiful looking. And then The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray, another mystery. I still recommend this mostly if you've read or watched the adaptations of Jane Austen's books in their entirety, because otherwise you're going to get a lot of spoilers. Some people don't care, but it's not just that you'll get spoilers, but you won't understand certain things about characters, I think. But anyway, it wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. So, you know, I've already done reviews. So those are the 3 Jane Austen July books that I had. And then going back, pivoting to the bookseller. I do a lot of pivoting here. And look, they even give us some nice bookmarks, which I gotta start using, but I'm going to put it, turn my back to you, in tassels in the way. How did you like that? Very awkward. I have these two places where I keep a lot of my bookmarks. And if you spend, well, you could spend, I think, $1 or $2 and they give you a tote bag, but it looks like that a bit. But if you also buy enough things, they'll just give it to you for free. It's very nice. So when my sister came again to New York and we went to the bookseller, she got something from Miss Reed, and she got in a conversation with one of the volunteers working there, who said, anytime you want to, you know, we may have some Miss Reed that we will get in soon, and would you like us to contact you? And she was like, oh, I'm not from here. I don't live in New York. She's from here, but she doesn't live in New York. And I said, well, I'll give you my phone number and I can always pick it up, which I did when they had some, I think, of the Fairacre books that they had copies of. And then I actually got, which I'm not going to pull up to show you now, I did get like an omnibus of Fairacre books. So that is one of the kind of series that, I think they're called Fairacre, yeah. Yes, that Miss Reed writes about, you know, village school, etc. It's really nice. So after doing that, picking up those books and sending it to my sister, it was really wonderful to be able to do that. I was starting to think, yeah, I would like to get more Miss Reed books, because they're actually hard to find in bookshops around here anyway. Not saying it's impossible, but harder than you think. So, and I try not to order things online when I don't have to. Anyway, so the bookseller, I follow them on social media, and they update sometimes when they get like a chunk of books in a series. And they had a bunch of books from their Thrush Green series, and it's from number 5 to 9, which, you know I haven't read the first ones, but I rushed over when I saw this and got them. And then I also bought some Jane Austens, but so I have a bunch of these here. I don't have them in order, but I will show you. Return to Thrush Green. Haven't even been there. Now I'm returning. Wait. Okay. Gossip from Thrush Green. Look at all these. Sheep? Yeah. Very cool. Let's put this in. Okay. Affairs at Thrush Green. That sounds so very racy, but I don't know if it is. Okay. And then, right at home in Thrush Green. Snowy. Refreshing looking right now, actually. And number 9, The School at Thrush Green. So I gotta dig into these soon. But wasn't that nice that they put those alerts up so that one could just grab them? Yay. All right, and now we have gotten to nonfiction, which I love. I love nonfiction, and there's all kinds of stuff here. Some of the things I've read already. 1 or 2 of the things here I've read already. One thing I think I've read already. So in no particular order, this is a book. that I'm really not sure about, because I've heard nothing about this particular biography. And, sometimes biographies can be a little sketchy, and this has been around for a while. This was when I went with a friend who was visiting in May to Westsider Books. I always try to talk people into going there, not just because I love... Look it up. It's very big on social media. It's kind of narrow, but it's a really fascinating looking bookshop. And they have a cat named Pig, who is so cute. And so I always try to drag people in there with me, even though it's narrow, and that could be a little claustrophobic for some people, including me sometimes. But this is what I picked up when I was there. It is a biography of Dorothy L. Sayers by excuse me, James Brabazon. It looks like it should be Barbazon, but it's Brabazon. Supposedly here, it says, who knew her well, now gives us Dorothy L. Sayers in all her astonishing complexity, drawing on private letters and papers available to no previous biographer, but allowed to Brabazon by Dorothy Sayers' son. So it sounds like it should be all right, but I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, so I'll find out, I guess. This is a book I got from, like I said, this is no order, from Bookoff. After having read, excuse me, a little bit about turn of the last century New York, excuse me, and how a lot of like the newer immigrants went through a lot, living in kind of, straitened circumstances, having to work in all kinds of dangerous and rough places, and living in just awful, kind of tenements and stuff. But I kept seeing references to this book, so when I saw it at Bookoff, I picked it up. It's How the Other Half Lives by Jacob Riis. And yeah, this looks kind of sad, but I think I have to be in a specific mood to read something like this. But it's a riveting account of life on New York's Lower East Side tenements, which, although there are still housing projects and everything in the Lower East Side area, it's become so gentrified. It's such a difference now. But still, there is a tenement museum, which I still have yet to visit. And this is probably quite an interesting study. So at some point I want to get to it. This is a book that I saw in a bookshop and thought about buying it full price, and then I didn't. Instead, I got another book that I saw at Bookoff later on without having read it yet for $1. But anyway, I saw this book and I thought it's an interesting subject to me. I occasionally get into things about slightly nature writing, but this is like nature writing in an urban setting. Might be a little bit, I don't know, is it going to be kind of hipstery, but we'll find out. It's something that I just find interesting. Anyway, but I need to say that. Also, as a Sherlock Holmes fan, Andrew Cote, there's an emphasis on there. Honey and Venom. It's pretty, right? Nice and yellow. Confessions of an Urban Beekeeper. So this is growing honey, keeping bees and having honey in New York City. That sounds a little like, I don't know, is that any good? I'm trying to remember if I ever bought any local honey. I've seen it at like farmers markets and at markets, occasionally, and really like, I know it sounds weird because I don't usually like the flaps because they're flappy. I usually remove them, but I really like the size of this. Look at that. Oh, nice. Covers a lot of territory. But yeah, so there's a lot of just a story about, I haven't read it yet, about keeping bees in New York. I love it. I like, I know I talk a lot about reading British books, and especially things about London. That's like my favorite. But sometimes I like to read about New York, as you could already see here. So as I'm whipping back and forth between different things, I will stay in New York for a moment and show you another book that was written a while back. I think it was it was written in 1894, so Victorian era, but American. This is In Old New York. So this is a history book about New York, but written in Victorian times, late Victorian times, but still, I love the naked hardback. I saw this in Bookoff and said, this is up my alley. It's green, my favorite color. Well, usually my favorite color, except for flowers. You know what color? It's my favorite color for flowers. Hee. In case you ever want to buy me flowers, just know that. I'll accept others as long as they're safe for cats. Anyway, so this is by Thomas Janvier, or thereabouts. I don't really know anything about it, except it's kind of like a facsimile syrupy looking thing, but it smells all right. Doesn't really smell like anything, but it has like a map, and wait, it looks like, no, anyway, I love maps. This is downtown Manhattan as it was a while ago. Love it. History of New York, good times. And now also history that is American. This is someone, I don't even know if this is probably not the most famous of the biographies of this person, but I've been wanting to read about Abraham Lincoln. Not as much as some other things I want to read about, but I am curious about him, especially in my plannings to visit Chicago, because he's kind of a figure in that area, and so it might be nice to know about him, but I'm not rushing to know everything about him, but I would like to I know very little about Abraham Lincoln beyond what we learned in school. So I found this one at Bookoff, and look at him. Hi, Lincoln, it's he and I together. So it's called A Lincoln by Ronald C. White Jr. Wow, I really hope I did not mispronounce Ronald C. White Jr. Wouldn't that be sad? This is Mr. White Jr. Hi, I am studious. But anyway, like I said, I don't know if this isn't like probably the most famous Lincoln biography, but I got a hold of it, so we shall see. Again, in the comments, if you've read it, please let me know. I found this book also in Bookoff. I really gotta get out and to other places, but hey, you know, you find stuff, you find stuff. So I love books about books. In case you haven't noticed, I love books about books. I hope in January to do another read about books in January readathon, read along, because it is, well, I do it pretty broadly. I don't, you're not reading anything very, very specific or anything, but anything, books about books, authors, bookshops, etc. And this is called Bookends, a memoir of love, loss, and literature by Zibby Owens. And let's see if we have a picture of our Zibby Owens, and this is her. Well, I like the inside color, very pretty. Little bit like yellowish greenish. She's a graduate of Yale University and Harvard Business School. This sounds like somebody from Gilmore Girls. Anyway, yes, I've been starting to watch that again as autumn comes near. So she is a well-known personality in the publishing world. I don't know her, but I'm not in the publishing world. Her infectious energy, tasteful authenticity, and smart, steadfast support of authors started in childhood, a precedent set by the profound effect books and libraries had on her own family. But after losing her closest friend on 9/11, oh gosh, and later becoming utterly stressed out and overwhelmed by motherhood, Zibby was forgetting what made her her. She turned to books and writing for help. Just when things seemed particularly bleak, Zibby unexpectedly fell in love with a tennis pro turned movie producer who showed her the path to happiness away from type A perfectionism. I don't know anything about type A perfectionism. I do know about type B perfectionism. And toward letting things unfold organically. Okay, so what unfolded was a meaningful career, a great love, and finally her voice, now heard by millions of listeners. So it's bookish, but it's also, it sounds like it'll be a good memoir. I always feel for people who lose best friends. I mean, it's a hard feeling, but 9/11, it's a very weird thing that I lived, New York in 9/11, during 9/11, and had a lot of friends that worked downtown, and including in World Trade Center, and I lost nobody. I'm very, very grateful, which makes me appreciate these stories even more, because it just goes to show what could have been. Thankfully, not for me. You got to be grateful for what. Anyway, we all have our own problems. Anyway, now let's get a little less depressing. Now we're going to go into, well, first I'm going to show you a book that I already read, loved, and said if I find it at some point in a bookshop, I will buy it because I want it. And I found it actually on a day where I decided not to go. I made a point of going the opposite direction from Bookoff towards Central Park, but the Strand has their kiosks outside of Central Park again. So guess who passed by and said, oh, yep, But I saw this and said, well, you know what? I love this book and I would love to reread it at some point. Romantic Outlaws. Oh my goodness. The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley by Charlotte Gordon. This was a book that Jennifer Brooks was really excited about and had wonderful things to say about, and then a bunch of other booktubers decided to read, and probably not just booktubers, a lot of other people, took her word for it, and almost everybody was like blown away by this book, and I am definitely included in that. Otherwise, why would I buy it, right? So I'm really happy to have it again in my possession. And now we're going to go into nonfiction Victorian stuff. And I will start by also the other one I got. Oh, these books are all very heavy. My goodness. At least this one is. This is like a paperback that you don't want to tote with you. This also I found at the Strand kiosk. And this is The Victorians by A.N. Wilson. I have the book after The Victorians that I still have not finished, and I think it's because I wanted to read this first. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah. And so I love this idea of reading more about the Victorian era. I can never get enough about the Victorians. I really can't. Some things about the Victorians I don't care about, but in general. And then, of course, another book by the same author, because again, I've not finished any books by him, so why not buy 2 more? But this was at a very good price at Bookoff, and I remember seeing it previously and thinking, I wouldn't mind getting a copy of this. I hope it's good. This is about our favorite, most cheerful person of the Victorian era, Prince Albert, the man who saved the monarchy, A.N. Wilson. You have a picture of A.N. Wilson in here? Oh, standing in one of my favorite spots on the planet. Look at this. Hello. Yes, I envy you, mister. But anyway, so I know a little bit about Prince Albert because every time I've read a book about Queen Victoria, there's a little bit about him. So I don't mind a little focus on him. I hope it's good. He packed a lot into his, I think, 42 years of life. Didn't seem like the happiest guy, but whatever. But he did a lot for that era and for his wife. She missed him a lot. Okay, and last but not least, I found this at Bookoff and said, more Victorian stuff. I love Victorian stuff. And I actually have a book out of the library by this author. I don't know if I should just read this one first. Who knows? But this is by Judith Flanders. We have a picture of her. I do not see a picture of her here. Anyway, but this is Inside the Victorian Home, a portrait of domestic life in Victorian England. Look at this picture. But it's interesting because I think, yes, a little blurb about her in here mentions that she wrote her first book, A Circle of Sisters, Alice Kipling, Georgiana Burne-Jones, Agnes Poynter, and Louisa Baldwin. That just sounds really interesting. So hopefully she's a good writer, because otherwise, well, this didn't really cost me that much. But nevertheless, I noticed one thing, in the pictures, if I can find it now, that makes it very much more appealing to Catherine, because this is one of my obsessions, is that they have this picture in here, which I remember was at least at one point a cover of, I think, one of the trollops that I have, and this has just been used very often. So look at that. I love that picture. It just says so much. And let's see. Should I have told you what it was called? That would be really helpful, right? We're going into crazy long minutes here, but you know what? If you stuck around this long, then there you go. This is George Elgar Hicks' triptych, Women's Mission. So I guess this is as a wife. Yes. So she's a wife, and he's got some bad news. Oh, it seems like it's got a black bordered letter, so he's found out about some probably death. So he's really sad, and she's like, I care about you. I'm taking care of you. So this talks about all the details of home. It says she draws domestic details from the writings of famous personalities of the age: John Ruskin, Mrs. Beeton, Beatrix Potter, Florence Nightingale, Charles Dickens, and Charles Darwin. So that's a lot of Victorians, and all kind of related to Pre-Raphaelites, I feel like, sort of circling in there. So little excited about that because I'm actually currently reading a book about the Pre-Raphaelites. Very happy about that as well. Back in my mode of Catherine-ness there. So I hope you've enjoyed this tour through all the more recent books that I have purchased since late April, I guess, early May. I don't remember exactly what my cutoff here was. And I will probably have a few more books hauled in recent times, but this is just my general summer haul. I hope you've, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed. If there's any books here that you have read and that you recommend I read first, I am always open to suggestion. If you like to talk about books, mysteries, New York history, Victorian history, bookish memoirs, what else? I don't know. Misread, all kinds of books that I have read and haven't read. Oh yes, Jane Austen, of course, related things, classics by various authors, especially Anthony Trollope. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all the things. And on that note, we will say goodbye for now. This is Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and many book-filled day.